Hello everyone, welcome to my channel where we talk about things we love like gaming, shows, and anime. Resident Evil 4 is one outstanding game which many would say that Resident Evil hit its peak with Resident Evil 4 because the next installments would turn out to disappoint, excluding some spin-offs like the Revelation series, and I would have to agree that Resident Evil 7 just came out and it is one hell of a badass game. We'll get to it eventually. Check out the previous Resident Evil videos while you wait for it, but for now, we'll be taking a look at 2005's Game of the Year. So sit back, pass that jerky, or whatever you got, and let's begin with the list. Number 10. As most of you might already know, Devil May Cry may not have existed if Resident Evil 4 didn't go through so many changes. The game was scrapped and started all over again for over 4 times, and one of the concepts had the same gameplay mechanics and everything you see from Devil May Cry. And that's another good franchise, so it's a good thing that they decided to turn that concept into its own franchise rather than to scrap it along with the other changes. Number 9. This is the first Resident Evil game to not include any of the creatures from the previous Resident Evil games. There are no zombies, no giant spiders, tyrants, crows, or Cerberus. In fact, this also marks the first Resident Evil game where Umbrella isn't responsible for the monsters and bioorganic weapon creations. This was the moment Umbrella finally bit the dust, for now. Number 8. Bet you didn't know that the voice actor who voiced the villagers and zealots of Resident Evil 4 was the same guy who played Popeye, but not the Popeye. Popeye from Blood In, Blood Out, Carlos Carrasco. Speaking of the villagers from the game, one might wonder why there are no kids around, right? Well, other than the fact that there's no way a game will have the player go around killing kids, there is a good explanation to why there are no kids, and that's because they were killed by the Plaga virus. I guess only adults could survive that type of mutation. Number 7. Resident Evil 4 was originally meant to be only on the Nintendo GameCube. Every game that was exclusively on that platform would tell you on the cover of the game that this was one of them. Now, Capcom is known for doing some naughty things like charging gamers for DLC, which turns out to be in-game content, all for the extra cash, of course. So I'm guessing that the moment Resident Evil 4 sold on an insane amount of copies, this must have changed their minds into making it available for the PS2 and then make constant remakes of it. The game was originally meant to be on the PS2 though, so there's that chance that it was eventually going to be on that platform. Number 6. Resident Evil 4 was also the first game to inspire all those QuickTime events you see on a lot of games nowadays. Some would say that Shenmue was the start of it all, but notice that no other game tried this until Resident Evil 4 gave us QuickTime events. Sadly, QuickTime events have become an annoyance in video games, and you could say that they make a game feel lazy as hell. But the reason why it's not the same with Resident Evil 4 is because QuickTime events in Resident Evil 4 happen when you least expect them. Plus, if you mess up, that means you die. Whereas in many games that utilize QuickTime events, they don't make it necessary to succeed in every turn. Plus, like I said, we weren't expecting them at all in Resident Evil 4. The graphics of the cutscenes were really spot on, and everyone knows that you can relax during cutscenes, right? But not in Resident Evil 4. You had to be on alert the entire time, and the only place that could keep you calm in the game was by reaching a saving point. Number 5. There are so many ways that Leon can die in this game, so many different animations for each creature that kills Leon, and you want to see them, but you just don't want to die either. Now, one of the most surprising deaths I came across was with the lake monster, before fighting it. Yeah, if you decide to shoot the lake a good amount of times, the lake monster will pop out and eat you without giving you a chance to dodge. So don't try this unless you want to end up like Samuel L. Jackson in Deep Blue Sea. Number 4. Since the game went through many changes, there were some characters that didn't make the cut. There was the Lurking Man. It was a creature designed specifically for Resident Evil 4 that would change forms, but sadly it never got past the design phase. Then there was the Electric Man, the Living Doll, which made it to the second prototype, the one with all the hallucinations shown in the 2003 demo, and even a Parasite Woman, but I'm guessing that she was scrapped because she had remarkable resemblances to the Nosferatu from Resident Evil Code Veronica X and Lisa Trevor from the Resident Evil remake. Number 3. The Matilda handgun was named after the character Matilda from the 1994 film Leon the Professional, and there's a chance that the difficulty known as Professional, which is unlockable difficulty, is another reference for Leon the Professional. Now, the Killer 7 handgun was named after the game Killer 7, which is another Capcom game produced by Shinji Mikami. Number 2. Newbie Tech created a controller specifically for Resident Evil 4 on the Nintendo GameCube and even one for the PlayStation 2. The controllers looked amazing because they resemble the chainsaw used by the Chainsaw Men in the game. but sadly the button layout was a bit of a mess, so players weren't exactly too happy with those results. Other than that, I recommend Resident Evil fans to keep them for display. I mean, they look great. I wouldn't mind framing them on the wall. Number 1. Originally, Leon was supposed to be rescuing Sherry Birkin. If you remember her, she's a little girl from Resident Evil 2 who is now grown up as shown in Resident Evil 6. And this was planned ever since we saw the 5th anniversary disc showing Wesker's report, and he says there that Sherry is safe in our hands. But since this was changed to saving the president's daughter instead, Capcom removed the description from Wesker's report on the 10th anniversary edition. Now, here's a bonus fact. Leon's gun, the Silver Ghost, has the words Kendo Custom Shop that have been engraved in it. This is a reference to the Kendo gun shop from Resident Evil 2, which was owned by Robert Kendo. But if the Kendo shop is back, then maybe Robert Kendo's brother Joe Kendo could still be alive and making that business grow. I mean, if the world has monsters and creatures running around, I'd say the gun shop business is going up. And that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if so, please leave a like, share with others, and subscribe if you haven't. And don't forget to click on the little bell icon next to the subscribe button to notify you of every new video that gets uploaded to the channel. And if you'd like to support me on Patreon, check out the link in the description, and follow me on Twitter to find out which videos are up next. Anyways, I'll see you all tomorrow, and remember to have an awesome day.